Beware, I live.
Welcome to the new RiverCityGamers Podcast, hosted by SCXCR and Well Unreal 007, as well as many other members from the RiverCityGamers website. Stay tuned for all the gaming news, new pickups, and everything else we feel like talking about on the RiverCityGamers Podcast.
I am Miriam.
I'm a little busy, hold on.
Fun game, by the way.
Is that an Angel Halo callback to the very first plug-in play? Good game, by the way.
Yep.
Oh, is there something I'm supposed to do?
Nah, you're good.
Nah, just continue playing it.
You guys just go ahead with gaming news. I'll be busy with this.
Gaming news! So real.
I would like to start gaming news with a note about realism in video games. Particularly when it comes to Battlefield 5. Yeah, there was a trailer recently which showed female soldiers, I guess, in the middle of battle. And a bunch of people said, well, wait, women weren't there, and stuff about realism, hashtag not my battlefield.
Now, you know what's funny?
To be fictional?
You know what's funny? This happened, like, while most of us were away. So I was just, like, kind of randomly peeking in going, okay, Battlefield 5 got announced, and I just have not been keeping up with what the hell's been going on. Like, I haven't seen any trailers or anything. So all I know is it's World War II, and some people aren't happy with that for some reason.
Haven't there been dozens of games about World War II, though?
Like, back in the early 2000s. And then there were a billion games about modern shoot bang. And then people got sick of that. And then people get sick of everything that's common.
And now we're going back to World War II games.
Now I have a question, because I don't play Battlefield or Call of Duty. Is Battlefield the kind of game where if you get shot, you go into the fetal position for a little bit and your health comes back? Or is there a medical pack that heals your wounds?
Battlefield, okay. So recent ones, there is regenning health, but it takes a while to even kick in. So it's encouraged to get a medic to throw health packs down to do that for you.
Okay, so this is an unrealistic game.
Battlefield's never been one-for-one realism. More realistic-ish than Call of Duty, by comparison, but on its own, it's never been realistic. There have been realistic aspects in it, like, for example, I think 3 onwards, they started introducing bullet drop, for example, especially on snipers, but in general, I'd say it hasn't been dead on realistic. Like, for example, you get blown up by a grenade in some games, you can just defib your teammate and they're back up.
How does that work?
It's called game mechanics instead of fuck it. You know? It's like, hey, the medic needs to be able to do something. So having the ability to revive dead allies and shit. Although I think in recent installments it's been like toned down. I think it's like 1 free revive or something. Unless it's like you get up and then you die immediately, you're not going to be able to revive them again, for example.
So this is a kind of dumb argument to have.
Why?
Like
What? That 5 isn't realistic? Dude, Battlefield 1 wasn't realistic. Like, come on.
Can we just, see this as just like a unique take on World War II, just, in a fantasy-like setting?
We could, but here's the problem. People always going to bitch. That is human life.
Fair enough.
I'll just be over here playing 1942 if you need me.
Yeah.
I'll just be playing another first-person shooter because I don't play Battlefield.
I'm gonna play a game that has a hedgehog in it, so realistic.
You just accidentally segued to the next story.
Oh my god! I didn't mean to.
So, Sega teased a Sonic game, which many thought would be a racing game because you could see the R on part of the logo.
Well, as long as it's not Sonic R2.
Well, Walmart cannot keep a secret. Because they just posted a new listing online for Team Sonic Racing, and Sega said, yep, Why'd you got... Oh, fuck it. It's Team Sonic Racing.
Boycott Walmart. They're leaking a bunch of E3 shit. Well, Walmart Canada did that, and Walmart in general. Fuck off. Never trusting Walmart ever since one of my collector's editions was opened up, and it was mailed from Walmart. Like, come on.
Walmart, the land of bunch of rednecks in tight pants that are too tight for fat people.
Some of which have shit stains on them.
Exactly.
People of
RCG
Walmart.
would like to briefly advertise people of Walmart.com.
So, Team Sonic Racing, it's evidently not a crossover title like the Sonic All-Stars Racing Transformed games, so it's an instant no-buy for me.
Boo. No
But from what
crossover.
I saw, it looks like it has like some of the vehicles from it. It may take the mechanics from the crossover games, which are good mechanics, by the way.
Yeah,
But
my problem is, I don't give a fuck about Shadow. I don't give a fuck about cream, butter, scotch, bagel, whatever the fuck the characters' names are in the Sonic series.
well, Bagel's part of Monster Hunter. That would be considered crossover if Bagel was in.
I hope Basilgeuse is in Team Sonic Racing somehow.
I hope Big is in, and I hope John St. John says final voice of.
I hope you can hear him dying slowly as he's forced to voice Big again.
Yeah, just like, oh god.
He just does the Duke voice.
Where's
Stupid shit.
I'm gonna run over Froggy with my big fat ass car.
Speaking of shit getting leaked, this time it's not Walmart's fault, it's the fault of the Korean ratings board. Because they may have just leaked that Fortnite is coming to Switch.
Now, okay, let's elaborate here. Just Fortnite?
I'm gonna check again, but...
Because there is a difference between Fortnite and Fortnite Battle Royale.
Oh, a significant difference, yeah.
So if it's regular Fortnite, there might be a little more justification there, sort of.
The listing just says Fortnite, not Fortnite Battle Royale.
Okay. I will assume that Battle Royale might be included if they do that. But of course, like, if people are just going to be playing the Battle Royale stuff, you can't do that portably unless you're near Wi-Fi and shit. But regular Fortnite, I'm pretty sure you can play solo. So, there is that.
Well, I think we've talked enough about Fortnite for one podcast.
Yeah.
So let's talk about its creepy brother-in-law Battlegrounds.
I've heard some odd things about it as far as server issues are concerned, but
It was one of the first, but also one of the worst, although Radical Heights stole the worst title.
Well, not content with suing Fortnite, they are now suing Epic Games. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to read through the story, and I really don't know what they're doing. They are claiming copyright infringement against Epic Games. The suit is filed in Korea, by the way. Which, what engine does PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds run on?
I believe it runs on the Unreal Engine?
Which is made by...
Epic Games.
So, remember when Silicon Knights did something like this?
I had
Yes,
a feeling you were gonna bring that up.
it's because of their best game ever, Too Human.
It's like, how dare you give us a fault
Actually,
that you
didn't
even know it's our fault
X-Men
that we
X-Men
made the
Destiny
shitty
run on
game?
Unreal?
Oh, I don't know.
Either way, I'm pretty sure the suing was because of the Too Human stuff. And Silicon Knights obviously didn't win.
No. They lost pretty handily.
Well, it's their fault for making it
So-
a game.
So, is Battlegrounds suing Epic because of the engine? Or was it not stated?
It's kind of unclear. From the sounds of it, they're suing because of, and I'm just reading this straight from the text, Battle Royale similarities.
So basically, they're copywriting Battle Royale. We invented it, even though there was a movie with Takeshi Kitano called Battle Royale, and there was stuff like Hungy Games.
From the sounds of it, Epic Games is trying to expand into Korea. I mean, they're already in Korea, but grow that as a base. And I guess this is an attempt to cut it off. A rather dumb one, but an attempt. I don't know. They lost me when they started suing people over frying pans.
Frying pans? Really?
Yeah, they claimed that, I think it was Fortnite. They claimed that Fortnite stole the iconic PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds frying pan weapon, which absolutely has not been in any other game.
Ever.
So, let's sue Dead Rising. Let's sue Left 4 Dead.
Let's sue Team Fortress 2. Let's sue Super Mario RPG. Let's sue Tom and Jerry, because they used frying pans as weapons at
Let's
some
sue
point.
Conker. Conker used frying pan. So we can sue Conker.
Let's sue the Looney Tunes while we're at it.
Let's sue the Yakuza games. Let's sue Pokemon because they used it as a drying pan instead.
Wait, what?
Yeah,
I
that
know.
happened.
I could use my frying pan as a drying pan. That's a real line of dialogue.
Ugh. People wonder why I'm not more into that series. Let's get as far away from this as possible. Possibly even go a little retro on this. Like, say, Atari retro. Because Atari recently announced their Atari VCS console, and it has gotten an overwhelming amount of support. They posted an Indiegogo campaign as sort of pre-order kind of functionality for it. And, yeah, as of right now, it's raised over $2.3 million. They were calling it a, and I quote, game and home entertainment streaming device with open platform for creativity and customization. So apparently you can put some of your own software on this. Oh yeah, it's built on open source Linux OS. So there is a decent amount of customization you could do with this if you know how.
Why do I get this feeling that most people are going to use it for first-person horror games that isn't even going to be scary?
Well, why would you do that when you could just get Haunted House for the Atari?
I've never owned the system, but I have played a few games on the compilation discs, so take it for what you will.
Well, the first game system I ever played was an Atari 2600.
What game did you play?
Pole Position.
Oh yeah, that's right. You got that signed.
Because, oh no you ain't. And from the looks of it, this does include several classic Atari games already loaded onto the console. I can tell that Pong's gonna be there, Tempest is going to be there, Asteroids. There are a number of these I don't recognize. Oh, it looks like Centipede's gonna be on there. Breakout, Gravatar, there we go. Star Raiders, Yar's Revenge, Sword Quest. I'm actually really curious to see how this turns out. Because
Me too.
this might, if it's enough of a success, make it so Atari isn't a soulless husk of a company shambling through the world of video games.
I'm trying to think what's like the last thing they've done that made them somewhat relevant in the modern day.
I know they tried making a new Haunted House game, which was so bad it was taken off Steam.
Yeah, to be honest, I mean, I kind of forgot that Atari was still around. I thought, because part of me thought they kind of just died. I mean, if to me this is like make it or break it. Like if it's successful, they'll profit out of it. But if not, well, I can't see a very positive future if it doesn't succeed.
Well, just going by their Indiegogo standards, they were asking for $100,000 on a flexible goal, and they have hit 23 times that, and they still have a month to go on it.
Damn, it's already looking up now.
But we go from the makers of the 2600 and the 5200 and such other consoles to the number 76. Specifically, Fallout 76.
If I hear that song one more time.
Take me home, country road.
Did Shaq suddenly start singing it? Did he reveal Fallout 76?
I belong.
Everybody, Shaq, filling in for Todd Howard. He's a little trapped right now. He got locked away once again. We're gonna talk about Fallout 76. It stars our Overwatch homeboy, Soldier 76. I don't know what the game's about, but here's the trailer.
By the way, please buy our game. We won't fool it up.
So, Fallout 76 is actually going to be an online survival RPG. so I automatically don't want to play it.
Supposedly heavily inspired by Rust and DayZ.
Okay.
So, congratulations, I was already falling out with the Fallout series, and now I have zero interest in it.
I was about to boo that, but
Ooh. Well, there's the older Fallout games if you want to play those instead.
Oh yeah, I play like Fallout 1, Fallout 2, I'll even play Fallout 3 for a little bit, even though it constantly glitches the fuck out on me.
it's Bethesda. What'd you expect?
Yeah, that's why I stopped buying their games.
I don't even remember if I even bought a Bethesda game. That's how. I've
I forget what was like the last Bethesda game I bought. I think it was probably New Vegas on Steam.
I rented New Vegas. Oh God, no. I couldn't. No.
Oh, there's an anonymous source who allegedly has information about the game, and has said, quote, "Gameplay is rapidly changing like it does in many online, quote-unquote, service games." And there goes my interest.
I had more fun playing a mobile game than...
Yeah, I know. I've been on Dragon Ball Legends, so.
Oh, I actually don't have the story for this, but just your saying mobile games reminded me. Square Enix is starting to pull out of its Go-style games because of the oversaturation of the premium mobile market.
Oh, really?
They're
That's
like,
much
well, there are
better.
too many good games that are free now, so we're not making enough money.
You sure it ain't because of the microtransactions and shit?
We don't talk about that. But actually, somewhat related, Agent 47. A very complex character. Particularly in his appearance. I may or may not be sarcastic. There is actually a reason why when he was initially designed, he was bald. According to an interview, or actually no, it was Nordic Game 2018 talk, CEO, I'm gonna butcher this name, Hakan Abrak, he said, "It was just too difficult for the engineers to do hair on the main character back then. I have seen it, and it doesn't look good." So they eventually just made him bald, and it worked out. Now the thing I'm wondering is, what kind of hairstyle were they trying to go for initially? I'm thinking Liberty Spikes.
Why do I think John Wick's hair? Sort of.
Flock of seagulls, maybe?
Woolly dreads.
Woolly dreads.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to picture Agent 47 with hair. I mean,
Well, if you want to, a bunch of people have been trying to Photoshop different types of hair onto him.
I guess I'll look that up.
Someone gave him Kratos' beard just because. But for now, that ends our quick jaunt through gaming news. I tried avoiding too much that might be mentioned at E3 just because I've been trying to avoid leaked stuff about that for a while. I want to actually be surprised about something for once.
Same here.
For now, though, we go into now playing. So, what have you guys been playing lately? What are your thoughts on it? You know what, Shadow, you haven't been here in a while, so why don't you go first?
Okay, so I'll talk about 2 games. First things first, let's get Yakuza 6 out of the way. I finished it a couple weeks ago. It's a great experience. I really enjoyed it, even though it took like 2 years for it to get here finally. But yeah, it was like a great send-off for quite possibly Kiryu's last game as the protagonist. To be honest, I wouldn't really mind if they want to move on to making a new franchise or something like that, because Yakuza 6 kind of ended on a great note. And
They're not ending Yakuza, but they're starting another Yakuza series, but with a new character. That has been 100% confirmed.
okay, that's cool, because I guess we can safely say that Kiryu's story is finally over. So let's just see what the future holds. So the new physics in the game were a little bit tricky to get used to, admittedly, but I got the hang of it, and the combat is still as satisfying as ever. The mini games that you get to do are awesome. I mean, I love the fact that they give you Virtual Fighter 5 as an added bonus to play. Even though it did take a little bit to get into, I did enjoy the the RTS Game Wars thing that you can do. It's pretty fun, especially since they have like notable New Japan Pro wrestlers likeness in that game, in that section.
Oh, I cannot wait for that. I can't wait to get my hands on Yakuza 6 now.
Mm-hmm. I mean, think about it. Kazuma Kiryu versus Okada. I would love to. I wish that could be a real life dream match, but
Isn't Kenny Omega in that game or no?
No, unfortunately, no.
Dang it.
But yeah, I recommend playing it just for that. So yeah, that's Yakuza 6. I mean, if you've been a big fan of Yakuza, I highly recommend it. You will not be disappointed. And I'm looking forward to playing Yakuza Kiwami 2. Other game I played, Bloodstained, Curse of the Moon. It's really, really good. So far, it plays really well, and it felt really nice to play like a retro-style kind of Castlevania-ish game, even though, unfortunately, we'll probably never get a true Castlevania game from Konami, unfortunately, so this will have to do, and yeah, it was great. It was challenging, and it just felt such like a great experience, especially with the great music, and for an 8-bit style game, the attention to detail on some of the bosses were really, really good. I mean, I say I was like really impressed, and I do like how you can like switch between characters like in Castlevania 3. So that was the idea behind it. So yeah, it's totally worth the $10 if you haven't backed up the Kickstarter project. And that is the 2 games that I played.
You know what? I'll go next. Partially because, well, in case you couldn't tell from the intro, I'm playing Curse of the Moon as well. And I'm also really enjoying it. I'm only about level 5 or 6. I think 5. Because I just got Jabel in the party. Is it Jabel? Gebel? I forget what the pronunciation of that name is.
I'm pretty much at the exact same spot, and I got there within like 30 minutes before recording the podcast.
Let's just say it's not a surprise that Koji Igarashi, who said that I believe Castlevania 3 was his favorite of the early ones, not surprising that some of those mechanics were kind of adapted to this game. Although, in Castlevania 3, you could only have one partner character with you at a time, and if you met another one, you would have to decide to either keep your current one or leave that one behind. Curse of the Moon does not do that. I'm currently up to 4 party members, all of which are like characters who will show up in some capacity in Bloodstained, I believe. Not sure about the main character though.
Oh, you mean Zangetsu?
Yeah. But anyway, they did make an effort to ensure that all the characters don't really play the same. They all have their own sub-weapons, they all have their own regular weapons, like Zangetsu has a sword, Miriam has the whip, Alfred has a puny little staff.
He has like the best sub-weapons.
Well, yeah, he's got like ridiculously low health compared to everybody else, so they have to give him something. So I just fire up his fire shield and then charge through everything. As you said before, the boss fights look really nice, they're pretty well designed. Some more difficult than others. I just did one boss where I didn't get hit a single time the first time I played it. So difficulty curve is a little up and down throughout. At least to the point I've played, but that's my incomplete opinion on Curse of the Moon so far. 3-word sentence, I like it.
It's also made by NT Create, who actually know how to make retro-style games.
Indeed. But for now I'm going to go to a game that I'm currently playing through with a friend of mine, and we're only a little under halfway through it, so another incomplete opinion on this, but Fatal Frame 2. This is a game that I both really, really like and really, really hate. The stuff that I like, the atmosphere is spot on. I mean, I know I do a series about playing like crappy or otherwise not scary horror games, but Fatal Frame 2 actually has its moments where it kind of got me to jump a little bit or dread going into a certain area. That very rarely happens to me anymore. And I can kind of understand why people would assign Fatal Frame to a label like scariest game of all time, even though I'm still kind of skeptical of that. So the atmosphere is really good. I'm engaged in the story, and some of the encounters that they have, like just the sound design that they use for some of the ghosts is really great. Then the game mechanics. Dear God. I mean, coming off of playing Fatal Frame 1 and going to this, I mean, Fatal Frame 1, when I was using the camera obscura to shoot ghosts, I think I could count on one hand the amount of times I had a ghost properly sighted and took a shot at it, and it just didn't work. That happens constantly in Fatal Frame 2, particularly when you're trying to catch vanishing ghosts. There was one I was trying to catch where it was like you turn around a corner, ghost appears, looks at you, and then turns off and runs away. It's relatively fast, but I had so many instances where I was trying to catch this one ghost. I had it perfectly lined up so I would be looking straight at it, pull up the camera, the circle is glowing to indicate that you can capture it, take the photo, it doesn't count. And just to cock tease me even more, after I take the photo, the filament and the circle are still glowing to indicate, oh, you can still capture this. Like, what the fuck? That has happened way too many times. Also, when I'm fighting certain ghosts, the ghost will appear in the capture circle, and it'll make the noise it does when you can capture it and show the dial readout for the range and strength that you're shot. And then it just won't work. I don't know why. Also, perhaps I'm missing something on this, but Fatal Frame 1 had a quick turn button, so you could spin around in a circle, which is incredibly useful against ghosts that, like in Fatal Frame 1, teleport around, teleport to the side of you, teleport behind you. Fatal Frame 2 doesn't really have that. So it's a little more unnecessarily complicated to try fighting ghosts while looking through the camera. Fatal Frame 2, the point that I'm at, also has, I can't remember what it's called, Omega Ghost or something. It's an incredibly powerful ghost that if it touches you once, you die. Even if you have a stone mirror, which is basically like the bottled fairy of Fatal Frame 2. Fatal Frame series in general, I think. That leads me to my biggest problem, which is I was trying to get past this Omega Ghost, and it's in this one somewhat open room, so you have a little room to maneuver, but the camera angle is pointing at me and not showing the ghost at all. So I have no idea where in the room it is. So I try running forward to the seemingly clear area, teleports on top of me, and I die. And this was after a difficult encounter with multiple ghosts in a small room. After a series of vanishing ghosts. And it's just... I know the save point is in the room just opposite the Omega Ghost, but that is still a kick in the balls to the player. And that camera thing is not just confined to that one space. There are so many instances I've seen where the camera angle will change and you will have no idea where the character is. Like there's this one part where you're running through a village and the camera is just down at eye level following you and it's really easy to tell where you're going. Then you round a corner, the camera goes up about 50 feet and is blocked by the roof of a home, so you can't tell where you are. Another instance where you go through a door and you're on a bridge, and it just shows you on the bridge, nice and close view. Then you start walking across the bridge, the camera moves like almost 100 feet away, showing a side view. And it also turns a little bit so that if you kept running in the same direction, you would just run back to the door you came through. And one last problem, which this might be my own doing, but we can't see a goddamn thing. Even when you have a flashlight, it is so ridiculously dark that we end up just constantly spamming the map to see where in the room we are and trying to follow walls and environment pieces to figure out how the hell to get through each room. And a couple of times we checked to see if we were like missing hidden ghosts or missing vanishing ghosts, because we would hear something but we would never actually see anything. So we look at these guides and it says, oh, it's just on the other side of this divider wall. And our response is, there's a divider wall in this room? Just to compound things, there's a part in the game where your flashlight goes out. So you went from not being able to see anything to not being able to see anything. I really want to like Fatal Frame 2. I really want to like it, but it is doing so much to piss me off. And I'm just hoping this is not a trend that continues as I'm going through the other Fatal Frame games that I hadn't played. And I think that'll do it for me, so Unreal, can you get us on a happier note?
Are you sure about that?
I'm sure about that.
All right, because 2 days ago I finished Detroit Become Human. Now, are you sure you didn't want me to go next?
When you say you want someone to get on a happy note and they just make things sadder, David Cage.
You have to send me that goddamn mixtape. You know the one.
That one.
Yes, you gotta send me that, because now I'm just thinking about it. I'm hearing it in my head. So Detroit Become Human is David Cage's new fucking game with Quantic Dream. Believe it or not, I think this is his best work.
Lowering the bar already, huh?
Well, considering that Beyond Two Souls was the one that came before this, it is leagues better. For starters, the story is told in order, so I know what's going on. And number two, there's more than 2 actors in the game.
But is Ellen Page one of them?
In Detroit? No. Mr. Krabs is one of them. I am not making this up. Well, by the whole actors thing, like, in Beyond Two Souls, there was, like, obviously Ellen Page and, fucking... Oh my god.
Willem Dafoe?
Thank you. I can't believe I blanked on him. I know his face, but I don't know why. I could have said Green Goblin, but, like, yeah, there were, like, other actors in that game, but they weren't great. And then you had those two, which had the best performances, but weren't great. Here, I feel like the acting is relatively solid throughout. There wasn't really a moment I felt where the acting got really dumb, or I don't remember seeing any moment like that one dude in Heavy Rain in the junkyard.
I know what guy.
Exactly. That being said, the story is told in order, but you got like 3 different characters. You've got Connor, Marcus, and Kara. Marcus, his whole story is like Robo Revolution. That's basically what it turns into. And based on your choices, it could be like, you know, peaceful or not peaceful. Kara is basically a runaway with this one child because she was brought home to an abusive household, and you just escape, and then it's just adventures and all that shit. Connor is a android from CyberLife, which is basically the creators of the androids, I believe. He's basically a detective here, and he's like partnered up with Mr. Krabs, who is a cop. And I'll just say right now, I liked Connor's stuff the most. I think the dynamic with him and Mr. Krabs was actually kind of enjoyable. Now, I did not know, by the way, the cop's name is Hank, or Lieutenant Anderson. I did not know he was voiced by Mr. Krabs until I beat the game. And then I went back and replayed some stuff that he happened to be in. I hear his Mr. Krabs voice come out in certain parts. And I'm like, oh no. Oh no, this changes everything. It makes it better. It actually makes it even better, which is kind of unbelievable. I will say some stuff with Connor and Hank are a bit cliche, but it's at least handled all right. There's some exceptions, but in general, that was my favorite pathway to go through. At least with the choices I made, it was pretty favorable and kind of enjoyable. Marcus is just like... Okay, so once you beat the game, you could like take a survey. Apparently, 89% of the people that played preferred Marcus as their favorite character, and I'm like, I don't agree with that. I thought Marcus's stuff was all right, but it's just kind of... I guess in some parts it could seem ham-fisted, because you could just take the whole Android imagery and apply it to like race, other stuff, all that stuff, which was pretty much the intent, I'm absolutely sure. But it's like, yeah, we know. This isn't subtle at all. At least for reference, Marcus starts off as Lance Henriksen's android, just kind of lives in this apartment. And Lance Henriksen in this game is like an old dude, just like in real life, but he's like a painter and stuff. Shit happens, and eventually you just kind of like get tossed away, and then you kind of just start rebelling from there. I will say his stuff is all right. I didn't care too much because of like all the obvious imagery and shit. I'm just like, yeah, we know. It's not really pulling any strings here. And of course, unfortunately, with the path I went down, ended up having a zero chemistry romance, so that is one box off the bingo. And even replaying chapters, I'm like, I hate this love interest. Like, the more I played, I'm just like, I don't care about you. I don't care. I hate everything about you. I can't sympathize with you at all. No. But then there's Kara. I think her stuff is my least favorite. And it's only because her storyline, if you take her storyline out, it wouldn't really change the plot. Connor's stuff can intersect with Marcus's plot, especially like way later on. And that's what it kind of leads to. But Kara's like, eventually she wants to get her and the girl, Alice, over to the Canadian border. Which, by the way, when I saw the footage of what the Canadian border looked like, I'm like, I was just there. This is not what it looks like. Even though it's like the future, it's not accurate. There is a whole plot reason why they want to go to Canada, so that is justified. But again, if you just take her storyline out, it doesn't really affect the overall plot. I mean, I guess standalone it's okay, but it's fine. I do gotta give credit to like outside of what I feel like is relatively solid acting throughout. I think the best thing this game does is the flowchart. So after every like chapter you finish, the game shows you the flowchart of what choices you made and what it led to, and then you could like see like a bunch of other branches that are like locked out. You don't know what they are, but you know they branch out to something else, and I love that because it'll tell you what exactly matters and what doesn't, and that benefits this game so much. And if Quantic Dream ends up making another game, they probably will. I don't know at this point. Especially kind of like this in terms of like just story-based, choose-your-own-adventure games like they've always been doing. I want them to keep the flowchart because that's great. It really does add to replay value. I mean, with the previous games, like, yeah, you could replay and see what else happens, but at least being transparent about what could possibly happen, seeing the flowchart really adds to that. I will say with my playthrough, it was mostly ideal, but with one of the characters, the endings didn't go the way I wanted to, and I'm just like, ugh. But that's how the game works. Yeah, definitely League's better than Beyond Two Souls. I'm kind of surprised I ended up enjoying Detroit more than I thought. There was a small part of me saying, like, this probably won't be that bad. And it isn't that bad. It's pretty good. It's not fantastic, because some of the dumb choices that David Cage games usually have are still in here. Like, a near future where magazines are, like, still shaped like books, but you read them like iPads on the front cover. Like, what the fuck? Mail, where the sheets are basically virtual iPads that you... Or you open the fridge and you just see a carton that says eggs box. I'm not making any of these up. And now I just think eggs box now whenever I think about it.
But how many eggs boxes were there? Were there 360 or just one?
I don't know. It seemed like there was just eggs box.
So I recall watching a Quantic Dream tech demo. What was it called? Kara?
Yep. That kind of led to this. I believe it's related, but I'm not sure how related, but that did eventually lead to this game. I would definitely recommend renting this. if you want, you could do like a single playthrough and be done, but I would encourage, like, outside of doing a single non-intrusive playthrough where you, like, technically you can, like, actually go to chapter select mid playthrough and redo something. I didn't do that until, like, I beat the game fully, then I went to fuck everything. But it's definitely interesting because, like, as of yesterday, I started, like, doing some trophy cleanup, and there's certain, like, whole sections that don't happen if you didn't, like, do a certain choice or something. And it says on the flowchart 0% complete because I didn't meet the qualifiers for what that path could be. And I'm like, I just like knowing that info. But yeah, I honestly kind of recommend this game. Not sure about purchasing it. It's mainly because of the genre, you know? And funny enough, I have one more game, another game featuring Lance Henriksen. Yesterday, I just blazed through Red Faction 2. It's one of the games I got for Anime North, specifically the Xbox version that I got. No, excuse me, the Xbox version I got for $1. What turned into just playing a little bit ended up being a full playthrough. It's really short, and it wasn't as hard as I remembered it. I think as a kid, I just had trouble near the end of the game, but here I am just going through this game, getting insta-kill headshots all the time up until the end of the game. The final boss sucks, but I was still able to beat him. I guess I should explain. Red Faction 2 is a sequel to Red Faction in name. It has nothing to do with Mars. It has nothing to do with the events of the first game. It takes place on Earth. You're nano-enhanced soldiers and stuff. You're taking down this Stalin-ass dictator, and then halfway through the game, shit changes, and then blah. The game's like probably under 4 hours, I feel. I think I had more fun with it than I was expecting, because I remember having fun as a kid, despite it being way more frustrating later on. But I played the GameCube version as a kid, by the way, which I also own now. Aside from some things, I almost prefer it to Red Faction 1. That might be an unpopular opinion, but the reason I prefer it to Red Faction 1 was because in Red Faction 1, the late game is riddled with enemies that can insta-kill you with the railgun or just whittle your health down so fast. And especially on PS2, you have to like manually save because there's no auto saves in Red Faction 1. And that I just got so fed up with that, where like it just stopped being fun. That second half of the game just completely sucked. Red Faction 2 does not have manual saves at all. It has auto saves, which is not as bad as I was expecting, because a lot of levels are short. Like once you hit a loading screen, that's a new auto save basically. So really, the checkpoints aren't as bad as you might expect. And there's a different health system compared to Red Faction 1. Like you basically have 4 health bars. You can regen health in this game, but it is so slow that it's almost negligible. But if you lose a full health bar, you use like a med pack and stuff. And the rail driver isn't in this game as often. There's like a couple of instances, including the final boss, where like, yeah, if you get hit, you lose a full health bar, but if you have med packs on you, you're good. Whereas in Red Faction 1, no matter what, if that rail driver hits you, you're done. Load your last save, idiot. So it was way less frustrating to go through this game, and I think that's why I kind of prefer it a little bit. Then I think I have a little more nostalgia towards Red Faction 2, so there might be some bias there. But man, I wanted to love Red Faction 1, but that late game really did not work out for me. In Red Faction 2, I'm just like, that was fun. Super fucking short, but fun. I might do the GameCube playthrough at some point, because there are some differences, like minor differences, but I just wonder if it'd be harder to play because of the C-stick or whatnot, because, yeah. And I only mentioned Lance Henriksen because he voices one of the characters in the game, and it's phoned in. His performance in Detroit is better because he's a dying old man instead of an old man that doesn't care about his voice role. And even though we kind of alluded to it earlier, I did bring up Bloodstained Curse of the Moon. I don't want to talk about it more until I finish the game, so that'll be another podcast. I think that's it for me. Oni, I think you're the only one that hasn't gone. Did you pre-order Shaq Fu during this?
No, I did not. I've been playing since my birthday a lot of games. One of them, Bleed, where you have to think No More Heroes minus 20 heroes.
I've always seen speedruns of this at a GDQ.
Oh, I've played this before.
Yeah, it's pretty good. While he was talking about Detroit, I think I just finally beat it, and no, there is more. Holy crap. Okay, never mind. I was going to say, it's a hard game, believe it or not. Very hard. And I enjoy it. I got The Blob. I've played The Blob before on the Wii, but I got it on Xbox One now, and I'm starting to remember why I wasn't enjoying that in the first place. Maybe it's because you have to paint everything, which ain't that bad, but then you have the time limit, which goes up. But at the same time, it's just like, what's the point after all of it? But that's the games I'm playing right now. Maybe next time when I come back on here, I'll talk about new Gundam Breaker.
Oh yeah, that game is coming out eventually.
This month.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah. But that's it for me, really.
Oh, okay. Well, we might as well go straight from that into viewer questions. And this isn't so much a question as a correction, because we were talking about the new Mario Kart on the other podcast, and Down Phoenix added this, saying, "Yes, Zero, it plays for you." He's talking about if you have auto acceleration and smart steering on. And funny enough, you can sometimes win first place on 50cc without touching the controller, but generally you'll get second to fifth.
Well, that's 50cc. That's usually the easiest class.
Yeah, that's the easy mode.
But, also slow. Yeah, we did definitely, like, I already knew about that, but it was double confirmed when we recorded Mario Kart at Anime North. We were just telling people, okay, this is how you turn it off. We gotta be sure, you know.
And for the record, he says he loves playing with auto acceleration, but not the smart steering.
But I would understand that, because it would probably fuck up some tight turns if you had that on. Probably. I just have everything off, because I had to deal with that in Mario Kart 8 for Wii U. And I'm just like, well, I'm just good. So I don't need the handicaps. But that could be there for, like, other particular reasons. Like do you think, like, people with disabilities might take advantage from that? Like, be able to play because of that?
Possibly, I'm not sure. Depends on the disability, I think.
Yeah, that is also true.
Because sometimes it's just, like, the shape of the controller that is a major issue.
Yeah.
And Zero Master added, "What if you call the next part of the Seiken Densetsu retrospective the Seiken Don't Sensu retrospective? It would fit." I'm not calling it that because I don't want to do that much editing to the title graphic. So if anyone has an actual question they want us to answer on the podcast, you can ask us in the YouTube comments section, you can ask us on the site post, you can ask us on our Facebook page, facebook.com/RiverCityGamers. You can also ask us on Twitter or on
Shout Engine.
Couponbug.com.
couponbug.com. And we will answer it from there as well. For now, though, we go into what's new. So, what games are you looking forward to? Are there any videos you're working on? Unreal.
Well, it is now officially June. I want to try and get that restock of the NES Classic. That's at the end of the month, though. That's, like, I've already mentioned a bunch of other games, previous podcasts, that are still on the docket. I believe Octopath Traveler's next month. But this month, I'm going to try and get my hands on the NES Classic restock, mainly. And then August, wait a minute. Okay, August has Monster Hunter and Yakuza 2. Sonic Mania Plus, when was that coming out? Just gotta do some live research, because I don't even remember when this was coming out.
Well, while you're doing that, I'll do my bit. So, I'm still working on the next part of the Seiken Densetsu retrospective, or rather the not Seiken Densetsu retrospective. That is a long way off, probably won't see it for at least another month or so. In the meantime, though, I put up a poll on Twitter because sometimes people ask me about this, but I asked people if they would be interested in seeing things I would do with a hypothetical Bloody Roar 5. And the overwhelming answer was yes, as well as the second place option, which was not make a battle royale game.
I saw that. Also, I figured it out. Okay, it's like 4 days after Octopath Traveler, so Sonic's Mania Plus is next month. Do you want me to continue my bit?
Well, I can just say the one game I'm looking forward to.
Shaq Fu Legend Reborn comes out.
Oh
Probably
God.
the day that this podcast comes out.
Also, should we say I'm looking forward to E3 still, despite all the billions of leaks? E3 don't blow
Shaq
me.
Fu to come out and advertise Just Dance.
I want Shaq Fu to be, like, even though it's out, just at E3. Just be there. Like, you're already out. It's like, well, the game's out, you can get it right now, but you can play it on the show floor. Shaq's gonna be there at his booth.
Shaq's gonna show up in the Nintendo Direct.
Or announcing the Switch port, even though I don't know if it's on the Switch already. Video-wise, I need to start... I'm gonna try and start editing the Anime North Con video. I think I have to briefly record one small thing that I forgot to, and then transfer the last of the footage over it, then I'll start editing throughout the month.
Oh, I have some videos I'll send you for that.
Oh god. Well, I'll debate if I'm going to put certain ones in, but go ahead. And I think after that should be where you and me need to actually write that collab review.
Yeah, it has been a couple years.
Yeah, it's been way too long. We should get it done. That's really the main plan right now, because just working on the con video and then do that, and then who knows where I'll go from there, really. Would you like to continue yours? Yes or no?
Well, I already did mine, so Oni, you're up.
All right. WrestleMania retrospective, WrestleMania 34. Script is done. Thank God. Now I just gotta get MJ to, find a time to do it if I ever get a hold of him. That's gonna be lovely. Rumble back, Greatest Royal Rumble. I'm gonna be writing the script starting next week. As for Gunpla time, I know what one I want to do first, but I need to get my hands on it, and that'll take a little while. That's it.
Alright, and Shadow.
No video updates, so I'll just talk about forward to New Gundam Breaker, Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate for Switch, Yakuza Kiwami 2, and just build Gunpla in the background. That's it.
And that rather abruptly brings us to the end of the podcast. So once again, I am SCXCR.
I'm Oni.
I am Shadow Snake.
Oh my god, Unreal died. I will mourn his loss by playing more Curse of the Moon.
Good game, by the way.
I'm Unreal.